Yo people, hope you're all doing well and welcome to a new video. With patch 6.3 around the corner, I thought I'd do a quick last minute preparation video to show you some things that you could do right now to make a lot of gil. As always, the amount of gil that you can make will be subjective to the amount of gil that you have to invest. However, you have to keep in mind that there will always be a risk included. I will mention some items I think will be good to invest in directly from the market board, along with items or materials that you can get through other methods. There is a lot of new content coming out in patch 6.3, including new combat gear, new crafting gear, additional housing wards and new raids, so we can take advantage of this if we prepare correctly. Let's get started. So first things first, you want to stockpile on your Astronomy Tomes prior to patch release. With the new gear coming out, these are going to require the Master Recipe 10 materials such as the bayberry cloths, ilmenite ingots, rutilated quartz, etc. To craft these, you need to use a material which can only be purchased using Astronomy Tomes, so as you can guess, these have been going up and will still be going up in price. If you are overcapping on Astronomy Tomes, then I suggest to use the tomes on the highest selling material at this current time and keep stacking. You will want to be capped on your Astronomy Tomes on patch release, as we will then be able to see which materials will mostly be in demand and then spend the tomes on those. And that brings me to my next point. If you are a gatherer or a crafter or both, I'd suggest that you take some time in the next week to farm a lot of the materials required for the Master 10 recipe materials. I have been stockpiling on the bayberry cloths, ilmenite ingots, rutilated quartz and powder lumber. Crafting these in high quality now will save you a lot of time on patch release, as you will have the material already available to craft the new gear, which no doubtably will be high in demand for the first day or two. If you don't want to gather or craft the materials for these, then you could just invest and buy these from the market board now. Currently they're going for around 15k each, and I assume that they will go up to around 25 to 30k each after patch release. However, some of these may be worth more than others, so be careful if you are deciding to use gil to invest in these. Personally, I've just been gathering and crafting these from scratch. Something that always fluctuates between patches are the prices of materia. Understandably, at the beginning of any patch with new gear releasing, these will shoot up in price due to everyone wanting to be best in slot as soon as possible. To take advantage of this, I have been stockpiling these since the 6.2 update video that I made previously. It's always best to look at in-demand materials and keep a huge stock of them when prices are super low, which is usually during content droughts, which typically is 2/3 of a way through a patch. At the time of making this video, grade 9 materia for crafters is currently sitting at around 7k each, and grade 10s are sitting at around 15k each. This is still fairly cheap, so I would suggest to invest in a reasonable amount. The grade 9s will be used for low percent modes, so it might be a good idea to get more of these. Personally, I've only focused on crafter materia for this patch, which include cunning, competence and command materia. However, you could also focus on combat materials if you wish. If you are still doing your dailies, then you could stockpile on the cracked clusters by using a job in demand. These can then be used to trade in for materia. So with the new plots being released, housing items will be super high in demand, so it will be a good idea to stock up on the key housing items that are usually used in builds. This would include lofts, stairs, chairs, beds, lights and tables. A lot of exterior furnishings also sell for a ton, so it would be a good idea to stock up on those too. As there are so many different items that can be used in housing, it might be a good idea to focus on a niche. I went into more detail on this in my previous top 5 ways to make gil video, so feel free to check out the housing item section here. With any patch that will include a lot of crafting, crystals and clusters will always shoot up in price. They will be high in demand, and I'd say that most crafters are never going to actually go and gather these themselves. As a crafter myself, I can comfortably say that I never have. So the only place to then go and get them from would be the market board. To be on the safe side, I would just cap on every cluster and crystal that you can. And if there is a particular recipe that you plan to craft throughout 6.3 as well, then stockpile on those right now, as they will definitely go up in price. It's probably best to use Universalis to cross-check the prices on all the different servers. I will put a link in the description for this. Lastly, we'll talk about Immutable Solutions and white Scrips. So Immutable Solutions was on everyone's stockpile list prior to 6.2 release, which we all thought would be used for the new grade 7 tinctures. However, Square Enix had different plans. With this in mind, I think now these Immutable Solutions will come back in play since they were missed out last patch, and I assume that these will be needed for some of the recipes. You could also just buy the Immutable Solutions from the market boards. Currently they are sitting at around 4k each, so you could just buy a few stacks of these and save them. I do think that these will go up in price if they are used for any of the high-end crafts, and if anything, I think they may even double in price. So yeah, invest how much you wish. I would stockpile white scripts using either rarefied draughts for the alchemists or rarefied integral armillet for carpenters. You could also use any other white script hand-ins for other crafters if you don't already have these leveled, but these are the cheapest ones. And yeah, these are the main things that I've been doing to prepare for patch 6.3. Although we are getting a lot of new gear, I haven't done a massive stockpile as I did for patch 6.2, and that was purely because I think the savage tier patches usually cause a much higher demand in item prices. I do think that the best time to sell these items if you'd stockpiled a ton of gil into them would be a day or two prior to patch release, and that's because there will be a high anticipation and FOMO will kick in. Also, stockpilers will typically flood the market on patch day, bringing prices down a bit, so it might be good to get ahead of the curve. However, I wouldn't suggest selling everything straight away. Sell some and then monitor and see how the day goes on release. You could always hold some items and sell them later as well. I will do an update video at some point to go over the things that went well and things that didn't, so keep an eye out for that. And on that note, that concludes our video. Please like and comment if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to stay tuned for more content. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.